unbelievable, because here in Airbnb, we should not be going through these horror stories. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the top horror stories that I've seen, have been part of, and how you're going to eliminate yourself from being part of this absolute chaos that's going on at Airbnb. You see, the thing about Airbnb is this. Airbnb is not only the most well-known short-term rental platform, but it's all over the media. And see, what happens is, because everybody is on Airbnb and they don't talk about VRBO and bookings, you get Airbnb as a negative connotation. It gets a negative stigma to it because people are talking about all these horror stories that have happened in their Airbnb, and it's making press and media. And so when we're talking to landlords about getting an Airbnb, they are turned off immediately just by saying the words, because they saw somewhere online where it said Airbnb is bad. Here are some of the worst things that happened in Airbnbs and how you can prevent yourself from going through it. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the absolute, in my opinion, worst Airbnb horror story that you could ever have. Have you guys heard of people trashing properties? What happens if you rented out your property or got a rental and did rental arbitrage, and somebody trashed the property, had a massive party there, and trashed the property to the tune of $20,000 to $30,000 in damage? It's a horror story. You put nice furniture in there, or it's a furnished property, or you spent the money on furnishing and it got trashed. And so you do have some recourse, because Airbnb has air cover, which if you take pictures in a timely manner, they can reimburse you for some of the damages that the guests make. But this puts you down. This is time down, money down, expense down, and it's just a horror story that I really hate when people do this. And so you can eliminate some of the things with your Airbnb in getting trashed. The first indication that you're gonna get if somebody tries to book your property last minute with a lot of people and in the same city. Let me say it again. You can likely reduce the amount of times your place will get trashed by looking for red flags. Like, somebody's booking tomorrow from today. Somebody's booking from the same city that you live in, that they live in. And somebody has 20 plus people. It's a party. They're gonna trash your place. The second horror story is people don't leave. They're called squatters. So people stayed in Airbnb. They're scheduled to stay for 2 to 3 days. They bring their clothes in. And now, because they brought their clothes in and put them in the closet, they could technically squat at your property and stay for months until you get an eviction process done. This is a horror story. And this happens to a lot of people because they let them in for 2 days on a short-term rental, and boom, somebody takes advantage of it, and months to get them out, and a lot of money. Horror story number 3 is, can you imagine being in your Airbnb and there's a stalker in the closet? Imagine you and your spouse, your kids are in the Airbnb getting ready for bed, and a creepy cat comes out of the closet in the bedroom. This has happened, guys. These are things that happen inside of Airbnbs, okay? This is very difficult to divert, to try to prevent, from the simple reason of you don't know who could be in the property, okay? Because we can't put cameras inside the property because of privacy law. You can put a camera on the outside, and this would prevent, at least you can know who's coming in the front door. Some people put them on the back door as well. But this is horrible. This is a nightmare. People are sneaking into properties and then people and abusing kids and doing this stuff. It's creepy. Horror story number 4. And that is, I wasn't gonna say this one. If you go into an Airbnb and you've got white stains all over the comforters and the sheets and the beds and the couches, you know what time it is. This is disgusting. And the cleaners didn't do a good job. And they left it, and or people destroyed the property right before they left and left cum all over. Okay, it's a horror story. It's absolutely unacceptable, and it's gross. It happens in hotels, but it's happening in Airbnbs now, okay? I love Airbnbs. I actually like staying in the Airbnb more than the hotel because you have a full kitchen, you have an opportunity to stay there with your family. The price is very competitive, actually less. And so I am a big proponent in staying them, but I'm giving you the biggest horror stories, and I'm gonna leave you with this video with the largest one, how you can prevent that. The next one is devastating. Drugs found inside the property. This was all over the news, where somebody left fentanyl underneath the sink and a 3-year-old kid got a hold of it and overdosed. This is what made media, and this is why landlords are freaked out, because they think that people are going to go in there, they're going to do drugs, they're going to party, and they're going to leave shit behind, and then they're going to have people in there and die in their property. Such a sad story. It's unbelievable. Which leads me to the next horror story, which is where people have died inside Airbnbs from old age. Okay? Maybe you got a property that's by a hospital and somebody was staying in your property for a couple weeks to go through surgery and they passed away in the property. And then you had to go there and break the door down with the cops and found a dead body inside the Airbnb. These are things that happen all the time, guys. Okay? So what I'm saying is just understand there's risk and reward to any business. And these are the horror stories that you could face in your journey of Airbnb arbitrage or purchasing. We're going to talk about those in a minute. And lastly, one of the creepiest horror stories is that people are putting cameras in the bathrooms and bedrooms hidden. And voyeurism is happening where they're sneaking and taking pictures of men and women getting undressed and doing things in the room. Okay? This has to stop. Okay? So I hope that I can put this video out and maybe it helps enlighten some of you guys that are Airbnb hosts or thinking to get in the Airbnb. So at least you know what to look for and things to do to prevent yourself from being in a position like this of seeing these things. I'm going to tell you this. The biggest, in my opinion, horror story. Luckily, I haven't went through 99% of this. But I will tell you this. The biggest horror story in Airbnb, in my opinion, is getting a property and having nobody show up. So now you've purchased a property, you have it on Airbnb, or you've rented a property and you're doing Airbnb arbitrage, and your guests are not showing up. So now you're getting into business thinking, okay, great, we're gonna make money, we're gonna be able to pay our mortgage, we're gonna be able to pay our utilities, and then we're gonna have some leftover passive income. But that didn't happen, and it's really because of you. Because a lot of people that get into Airbnb really don't have any clue what they're doing, which is why the failure rate of Airbnb is over 80% in the first year. People don't know what they're doing. So in my opinion, a horror story would be to get properties and have no guest. What are you gonna do now? Sure, you can rent it out long term. That's an option. But what if you got into a property where the rent was higher than the rental that you would get from a traditional tenant? Now you're losing money, even with a long-term tenant, every single month. This is why we need to get into short-term rentals and understand how it works. I teach a method called rental arbitrage. And I teach a method that will basically help you eliminate these horror stories. But the most devastating one is to get properties and not be able to pay rent and utilities. My job is to help you mitigate that risk so that you can increase your occupancy, increase your daily rate, and increase your cash flow. And that's what I do. I've been named #1 Airbnb educator in the United States. What I will do is I will help you get a property, a rental to start with, not an apartment, but a single family house. I will help you with making sure the property is in the right position, the right market, the right zip code, and that the profit is there. And one of the things I'm looking for is that the profit exceeds $1,500 per month. That's what I look for. I have professional software to gauge if we're gonna get a property and it rents $2,000, I would like to see $4,000 in guest revenue. That's how I know I have a good property. Now I'm gonna look at the market. I'm gonna look at why people are coming in. Are they coming in to party? Are they coming in to, ski? Are they coming in for vacation? Are they coming in for work? Are they coming in for the hospitals? Are they coming in for, traveling? Are they coming in for relocations? What are they coming in for? And I will tell you this. I play in a really cool niche with the hospitals. I have travel nurses, doctors, chiropractors, and people that want to stay next to the hospital, next to their loved one in a nice Airbnb. And we put an elderly couple where somebody's going through surgery. We put them up in our Airbnb. It's right close to a major hospital. It does really well. And the cool thing about it is that's a niche I play in, but I always talk about the 4 H's, and that's hills, hospitals, hotels, and H2O. You want to be around these. You want to be around a property that has a pool or a hot tub. You want to be around a property that maybe has a lake view or an ocean view? How about a property that's next to a hotel? Great opportunity. How about a property that's next to a beautiful hospital, major hospital? Unbelievable. You guys have, this is the 4 H's that you want to be around. And so one of the things I want to tell you is, how do we prevent our property from having low occupancy? The first tip that I'm going to give you is that you can go in, if you're an Airbnb host right now, you can go into your listing and you can snooze the listing and reset it. If I'm in a position right now where I'm on Airbnb and I'm just not seeing myself on the first page, that means that the SEO is not done right. It also means that your listing got pushed to the second or third page. And nobody's going to the second or third page to see your listing. Just like on Google, they're not going to go to the second and third page. They want to see the first page. And that's where you want to be for Airbnb as well. So Airbnb rewards people and shows their listing to people that like their listing and people that are viewing the listing. It's an interest algorithm, Airbnb is. And so if we could be on the first page, we're getting viewed, we're getting seen, we're getting listed, boom, you're going to get bookings. So what you can do is snooze your account. And when you snooze your Airbnb account, change around the pictures. It's a hack. Change a couple of the pictures around, change your profile picture, maybe rotate a couple. Reword the description by going into ChatGPT and telling it to rewrite the description in 3rd grade level reading. And if you can put the words view, ocean, ocean view, hot tub, king bed, king suite, breathtaking views, amazing new, any of those keywords, you're likely to get more bookings. That's the SEO that you want to do. So you can check it in Airbnb and see how people are doing by just going into Airbnb and look at your competition, right? Go book something from somebody else's Airbnb and you'll be able to see what their occupancy is. You can see how much they're charging. But more importantly, you can check on Airbnb is you can check to see what their titles are. Look for the property that's doing the best revenue in your city and look at the title. Look at the picture. How's the picture looking? If the picture is on their profile picture is standing out, look at what is different from everybody else and try to model and mimic and master what they are doing. Don't reinvent it. If you see a bunch of people have profile pictures of, the inside of their property, maybe try something different and maybe do the outside house. Or vice versa, right? So you want to stand out, but also model what they're doing in their title because the title is working. It's getting people's attention, okay? So that's one thing you can do. Snooze it, 24 hours, make those edits, and then repost it. And what happens is Airbnb sees it almost as a new listing, and it should jump you to the first page. It's a little hack you'll thank me later on. Number 2 is called dynamic pricing. I'm gonna leave you guys with this one. Dynamic pricing is by far the way to increase occupancy and drive more bookings to your Airbnb. And what that means is when you go to your pricing and availability calendar, what you want to do is you want to look to see what the prices are after today. For example, if today's the 19th of the month and you have like 2 or 3 days that are not booked, and then maybe on the 23rd you have a booking. Those days that are coming up, those next 3 days from today or whatever day you're looking at it, are called orphan days. They're very unlikely to get booked for the simple reason somebody would have to be looking for those days, only 3 days, and on that month. And Airbnb is going to show it to a lot less people because of the criteria that you're asking for. So what we want to do is we want to dramatically decrease the pricing to drive up the urgency for someone to book. So what I would do is this. Let's say that my normal pricing is, and you can use this for any pricing. Let's say my normal pricing is $200 per night, okay? And then tomorrow is not booked. The next day is not booked. And the following day is not booked, okay? And I know that tomorrow, the next day are still set at $200 price point. What I'm gonna do is tomorrow's date, I'm gonna remove 60% of the price. From the 200, I'm gonna remove it down to 60% of 12. So what's that, 6 times 2? That's 12. I'm gonna move it down to 80 bucks. I'm taking off 60% off my normal price for tomorrow. The next day, I'm gonna go 50%. It's gonna be at $100, or I like to do like 97, right? And the third day is gonna be 40%. And that would be basically 4 times 2, right? So take off 80 bucks, so you're at 120. 80, 100, whatever it was. So 80, 100, and then 40% off on the third day. So what is it? 40%, so 4 times it, that's $80, so $120. 80, 100, 120. That's what it would look like and what I would do to drive up the occupancy immediately. You've reset it, and now you went in and started doing some dynamic pricing to change it based on what is going on. Because the likelihood of that getting booked is very rare. And if you want to get it booked, you got to drop the prices down, okay? And maybe something 2 weeks out you don't want to touch, right? Because 2 weeks out, people can still book. What I really focus on is the next 4 days. And if I don't have bookings, I dramatically, the next day for tomorrow, it's going to be the highest percentage off. The next one's going to be a little bit less and a little bit less, okay? But that's what you want to do. And then snooze the listing. I said, you guys will increase your bookings. And I teach a method called Airbnb arbitrage, where we're not going to buy any property. You guys are just going to rent. I'm going to show you how to get your first property in 30 days or less by renting, getting a landlord's permission with a simple addendum that says we're not going to live in the property. You give us permission to put the property on Airbnb, vrbo, and bookings.com. And if anything happens with zoning or HOA during the process of our lease, you allow us to get out of the lease scot-free. Okay? That, my friends, is what is booming right now. It's called Airbnb arbitrage. So if you guys want my help, put the word Airbnb in comments. I will reach out to you directly. I will help you. I will give you my time, energy, and anything that you want to make sure you're successful. Love each and every one of you guys. This is the nightmares of Airbnb. Reach out to me. Let's roll.